Now we're reading some lines, just 4 bars at a time, one hand at a time, but we don't have a clue where to put our hands because the hand position is not given to you. But the clue is there if you carefully look at the key signature. There's one sharp, and if you have learned enough theory, you know that the scale with the one sharp is G scale. So immediately you could say, oh, one sharp, I'm in G position, G is at the bottom. Also because you've practiced your warm-up that I recommended you do, right? Sometimes the note is, there's nothing written here, for example, but you look inside your song and you recognize a few flats, and then you recognize the note being flat is B. B is flat, and this one is also a B. Oh, what is the key? What is the hand position that has a B flat in there? That is your F position. F. B is flat. So I made it difficult by not putting a key signature. I should have done the flat here, and then I don't have to write the flat here. But I made it difficult. So that's one way. One way to find where your hand position is for my low intermediate is to look at the key signature. And when there are no key signature, but you do see an accidental inside, like this one also, yeah, an accidental is a flat or sharp. So when you see an accidental inside the song itself, it gives you a clue what hand position you're in because you have learned it. Now, the other way to learn is not to look at the key signature. Just simply look at the first starting point for each hand. So the starting point for the right hand in this first one is B. And the starting point for the left hand is A. So find that particular B and that particular A. So that particular B is from the middle C up, D, E, F, G, A, B. That's the B for the right hand treble clap B. And you see number 3? Put number 3 finger on that B. And then leave your right hand there and set up your left hand. So number 4 is supposed to be on A. Which A? Well, the A that's right near the middle C, which you recognize here. That's middle C. So that A is really, really close to middle C. That A, C, B, A, that A. And we want finger number 4, which is not your index, your ring finger. So once you have set it up, then you can read. So that's another way to set up the hand before you start reading, is by looking at the first note. Let's do that for number 2 exercise. What is the starting note for the left hand? And you put number 5 on it. What is the starting note for the right hand? And you need to put number 2 on it. So just identify the name, the exact key. Because I still have students and they say, oh, that's an F. And they just play any F. Or there's a lot of F on the piano, right? So you need to identify particularly which F is this one that's written on this line. Because knowing the name of the notes is not enough. Also know which F. So I would tell you, always remember your middle C, which is here. Middle C is between the 2 clef. And so that F should be right, not too far. And you put a pinky on it. And again, that note is G. Now you identify it as G, but which G? Well, it's not too far from middle C. So instead of C, it's that G. But we want a number 2 on it. The finger is there. So those are just the ways to to identify and start your sight reading. And it's called sight reading for a reason. It's because you want to try to get it correctly on the first try. Rhythm and notes, not just notes. Also count another beat here, for example, right? So you want to get it on the first try. That means your hand you're starting to coordinate. Right hand. Then I have to go here, left hand. I have to go here, right and left and right and left and right. I count another beat. And then I go to left and I count another beat. And that's the goal of the sight reading, is that you're doing it correctly the first time. Now, if you're really coming from my beginner's class, you might have to do it like 3 or 4 times before you actually get one line correctly. But it's not a real song per se. It's gonna sound, some of them sound good, some of them sound so-so, not too good, because I had to invent these. So that is the explanation on how to have a starting point, and then after that you just read by approximating. Oh, what do I mean by approximating? I mean, you can color code. I'm color coding so that you see, but if it's a step, just stepping is also stepping. And then I'm just gonna use a different color for a step, a skip. It's a skip down. And here's a skip down. So then you're starting, wow, it looks the same colors. Yes, it is. Often when you're reading music, there's a pattern. That's why I'm saying, if you recognize the pattern, just like in the hand that we just did, you can recognize the same pattern, right? And then here you do have to read each note, but you can see also, take out the difficulty by saying, oh yeah, once I identify this note, that's the same note. I don't have to worry so much about my right hand, my left hand. I will focus my eyes up here on my right hand. I'm drawing an eye. So before you even start reading and playing these 4 bars, I would do all of that. Identify patterns. Identify where it's easy. Or in this case, in the number 2, identify where it's hard. And if you look at number 2, skip, skip. And here it is, skip, skip. And here you stepping and stepping. And you have stepping and stepping. So basically, I'm doing the same pattern here as I'm doing here. Once you identify that and you color code like I do and you circle it, then your ears will guide you to play the next pattern. Once you get that first pattern in, your ears should be helping you do the second one, because it's the same pattern. Also, I recommend that when you sight reading, that you're humming along what you're doing, because these sight readings is just one hand at a time. So hum along what you're doing, so you're training your ears as well. And then the last thing I would do for number 2 is recognize that this note, I have a long wait to do, but when I get here, it's the same note, right? And then it gets a little bit more complicated. Sometimes the pattern is not exactly the same. Here, yes, I have the same note. Here, I have the same note. In fact, I have a tied, so I don't play that. And then I start saying, oh, I have step down here. Boom, boom. And I also have steps down here. Yeah, okay. But do I have a, a skip or something of a pattern here? No, I don't. And so there's no pattern there, but it is the same note. This is C, and this is C. is this pattern the same as note as this pattern? No, but it's still a pattern. It's just 3 notes stepping down. And so before I even attempt to play, I have all my color pencils out or highlighter, and I start identifying patterns. Okay, so that's how you would practice sight reading, and that's the goal of sight reading.